Kia ora and welcome back to Wellywood Wargaming. This time in Melbourne, Australia, or Australia as they say over here. I have now moved from Wellington, New Zealand, and I'm living in Australia. Of course, kind of similar in a lot of ways, still a hipster city, full of good coffee and good food. The birds here though, I tell you what, the wildlife, the birds here are just angry at something. I'm not sure what happened, but the Australians have obviously angered the bird life here, and it is just angry. Everywhere you go, birds want to kill you. You've also got to think about spiders that want to kill you, jellyfish that want to kill you, sharks, snakes, all sorts of shenanigans. Basically everything wants to kill you here. So I'm going to have to get used to that and keep watching my back here. But anyway, I haven't quite got the setup that I want to have here yet. I've only been here a couple of days, so I thought I'd just give you a quick little video on the forthcoming Necromunda releases for miniatures that have been sort of previewed on the Warhammer community. So I just want to give you my sort of thoughts on them. And again, this is sort of open for discussion here, but I'd really like to know what you think of these miniatures, because the community seems quite split on a lot of this stuff. Yeah, I thought I'd just go through some of it and give you my 2 cents on what I think of it anyway. Of course, yeah, I've got all my hobby stuff coming over on a shipping container, and that's going to take quite a while, as these things always do, so I might not even be able to do some proper videos until February really, but you know, for the time being I'll do things like this just to keep you entertained, I suppose, but can't do any face-to-face stuff just yet until I get the appropriate setup. Anyway, so moving on, we're going to start looking at some of the miniatures that have been sort of previewed and haven't been released yet. So this is all the stuff up to date that has been shown on the Warhammer community but has not yet been released. First up, we're going to look at the Escher Cutters. Now these things are, you know, a pack of 4 plastic Games Workshop miniatures for House Escher. These are the House Escher specific gun bikes, basically. I like to call these hairdryers. I think they look like hairdryers. Maybe I'm starting a little thing off here, and maybe you guys can all start to refer to them as hairdryers too, but I think once you see it, I mean, I am obviously someone who works with hair in my day job anyway, so you know, to me they just look like hairdryers. I want to give them handles and different settings just to make them look almost even more like hairdryers, but yeah. The Escher Cutter here is a mount. It's not actually a solo vehicle. It is a mounted accessory that you can have on your prospects and your leaders and your champs, etc. Now, I'm sure they're very good in the game. They make things very, very fast. I think they're the fastest mount that you can get so far, judging by the rules that I've seen. However, I've got to be honest and just come straight out with this. I'm not a huge fan of any of the Ash Waste vehicles so far. Certainly not the house specific ones anyway, and these Escher ones certainly don't float my boat at all. Neither do the Goliath or the Cawdor ones. We're going to be looking at the Cawdor ones very soon, but to be honest, I'm just not a huge fan of the Ash Wastes stuff that's been released so far at all anyway, apart from Nomads and the Book of the Outlands itself. But you know, I kind of want someone to come along and prove me wrong and get me excited about the Ash Waste setting, because so far I'm finding it really difficult to be enthusiastic and excited about it based on the releases that I've seen so far. Now I know lots of people get on the hype train and they love it, and that's cool. And there are a few exceptions, you know, to this for me, but I just find that I have played the Ash Waste rule sets, I've used the vehicle mechanics, I like them, but I just find it really, really difficult to get excited about it for some reason. I'm not in a rush to play an Ash Wastes campaign either, but I'm just a huge fan of the Underhive setting, and you know, I will continue to play the Underhive setting as my primary sort of thing, and I don't think that'll ever change really until someone comes along and tells me otherwise. But it'll be interesting to see what people are doing here in Melbourne. I haven't met anybody, haven't met up with anybody to play any games yet, so I'll be interested to see who wants to do what in terms of campaigns and stuff. But if I do start my own campaign here, I think I'd probably still want to keep it just pretty much strictly Underhive. Anyway, I'm getting away from topic here a little bit, but that's just sort of like how I'm feeling about the Underhive setting in general. At the moment, I just feel like it's much stronger for me. It's much more alluring than the Ash Wastes setting in general. Not sure why, it just is what it is. Anyway, so we've got these Escher Cutters. The main problem I have with these things is that, well, firstly, they're Escher, so they're my least favourite gang, aesthetically anyway. And secondly, we've got really, really powerful twin-linked guns on tiny little air bikes. So you've got a twin-linked plasma gun on one of them, you've got a twin-linked grenade launchers, and I believe you've got twin-linked heavy stubbers here as well. It's a lot of firepower to have on something that's potentially just a jet bike. Correct me if I'm wrong, it seems a bit much. Anyway, that's all I'm really going to say about these cutters or hairdryers. I just don't think they're probably the least offensive aesthetically compared with the Goliath and the Cawdor ones, I must say. But again, not for me. I won't be buying them. And I won't be buying the Goliath or Cawdor ones either. So onto the Cawdor ones. Let's have a look at these quickly. Now, I've seen everybody on Facebook communities getting very excited about these. And people seem to love the idea of them. We've got these sort of jousting Cawdor, wannabe sort of knights on the back of, two-legged walkers, mini walkers, basically. Now, I don't mind the idea of mini walkers in the sort of Ash Waste. I think that's kind of cool, but the execution here for me, and the fact that they've come with House Cawdor, doesn't quite gel. Now, I'm a huge House Cawdor fan. I think House Cawdor are my favourite house gang, in fact, but I feel like they've done them an injustice here. I feel like they've made House Cawdor a little bit too comedic. If I look at these, what it reminds me of is the feeling that I got when I stopped playing Blood Bowl, because I just felt like, Blood Bowl's always been a bit silly and always been a bit comedic, but it got a bit too silly and comedic, and I feel like that's almost what's happening to House Cawdor at the moment. They're becoming a little bit of a joke. To me, the fluff of House Cawdor is absolutely terrifying. That sort of blind faith and just wanting to burn everything and kill everybody who is slightly deemed as a heretic is kind of terrifying to me. And this aesthetic here with these walkers makes them far less terrifying and far more of a joke, if you ask me. I don't think Cawdor should be a joke. I think the whole theme of House Cawdor is actually terrifying. I can't understand why people would find it funny. They're really, really scary in the fluff. So this just kind of ruins it for me a little bit, to be honest, and I definitely won't be buying these. They're kind of cool looking models in their own right, but they just don't gel well with House Cawdor, I don't think. I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make this sort of like chivalrous knight sort of vibe going on with jousting Cawdor on the back of these sort of horses, but it just doesn't work for me personally. I know there are many of you out there that really like these, and again, and I've said this before, but a lot of the sort of Games Workshop paint jobs that they do for these miniatures are very bright and garish, and it's obviously heavy metal paint style, which is not at all my vibe. Sure, it's well done, but it's not my vibe. So maybe if these were painted slightly differently, I might prefer them, but I still think it's not going to redeem them for me entirely. Some interesting weapons on these. You've got frag lances and flails and one with an auto gun there as well, but I just feel that these are completely off the mark for me for Cawdor. I was really excited about seeing something, I don't know, just seeing something a bit more scary, like a sort of burning, towering effigy, sort of like cathedral on a flotilla sort of thing. I don't know, just something that isn't this. I'm just not a fan at all. But I appreciate that many of you like these. I do not, and I don't even want to play against them. They just look dreadful to me. But yeah, I'm not throwing my toys out the pram just yet. I just can't get excited about these, just like I can't get excited about the Goliath or Escher ones either. Just not a huge fan of them so far. The Goliath ones look like they're straight out of Master of the Universe. Someone said that recently and I just can't unthink it. But there you go. Now, moving on to the next thing. Now, this one I do actually like, I'll be honest. I've said before that I'm not really a fan of vehicles in general, in real life or in Necromunda, but this thing does look really cool. It looks almost like a piece of terrain than a vehicle, but we've got the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler, which I really, really do like, by the way. If I could afford it, based on New Zealand and Australia, dollar conversion down here, of course, Games Workshop stuff is very expensive down under. If I could afford it, I'd have a Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler, and I'd use it. Because it looks great on the table and I'd love to paint it. This is basically a hybrid version of the Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler with a tracked bottom to it. So we've got what looks like a plastic and resin kit here. The plastic element is obviously the top chassis of the Cargo 8, and then we've got the bottom sort of tracked element of it, which is really, really cool actually. This thing looks awesome. You've got the Guild of Coin Haulier at the top there with his heavy stubber or whatever it is. Really nice looking vehicle. I'd love to paint this up in perhaps sort of dirty white sort of colour. Really fantastic model, and actually I'd use this. I definitely want to use this if I could afford to have one, but being Forge World and Games Workshop, you know, the Forge World stuff is so out of my price range down here in Australia that I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. So those are the sort of vehicle updates that I'm going to give you. On the Ash Wastes tip though, we're just going to quickly look at the Escher Upgrade Kit from Forge World. This is not a weapon kit, but this is like a Ash Wastes upgrade kit. They did one for House Orlok and they did one for Goliaths, and both of them are great actually. This one is great too. I actually really like what this can do, and it doesn't have to be used for Ash Waste games. What you've got here is a series of 10 backpacks and 10 spare heads in here. They're all different, which is pretty cool. And then you've got some sort of what look like some sort of weapon accessories for the hip there as well. But these are all very similar from Goliath to Orlok to Escher. But it just gives you a few more options for the heads and the backpacks as well. I really like the idea of backpacks. I feel like a lot of the gangs, even in the Underhive setting, should have gas masks and backpacks. It's not necessarily just for the Ash Wastes. So these are nice little things to add to your gang. Again though, they're Forge World, so very expensive for most people, particularly if you live down under. But these are worth getting. I really like the Orlok one particularly. But definitely looking forward to seeing ones for Van Saar and Cawdor and House de Lac as well. But yeah, very cool those. I'll definitely be buying those at some point in the future if I can. Moving on to the next thing, we've got some Escher, tactics cards and Escher vehicle tactics cards there as well. Not particularly exciting, but for those of you that do collect these card packs, you don't necessarily need them, of course. But if you do want them, I suggest strongly to snaffle them up straight away, because these cards tend to go very quickly and then they go out of print and they don't get released for a very, very long time, and then people go on eBay and try and scalp you for them. So do get them early if you do want them. I won't be buying these because I don't really play House Escher too much, and I don't use vehicles much either. However, next to that, you've got a set of new Escher Ash Wastes dice. Now these ones are really, really similar to the original purple and gold set, I believe, or purple and yellow set that we had a couple of years ago for House Escher. Those were really, really highly sought after because they were one of the nicest dice sets that we've had for Necromunda so far. And these are basically a sort of replica of those, but slightly more pink than purple. So I definitely suggest getting these dice because, again, they won't be available forever, and they are a really nice set of dice. Pink's not everybody's colour, but I really like these. They stand out really nicely and they're easy to read, and I think that's really important in dice sets for Necromunda, is that you get some dice that are actually easily identifiable and easily readable, because there's been a couple of dice sets that I've had for Blood Bowl and other games that have been actually quite hard to read. These ones look like they're nice and clear because they've got two very contrasting colours there as well, or complementary colours in fact. So that's that. Moving on to the next thing, we have got some Dramatis Personae here. First of all, we're going to be looking at this Blade of the Matriarch, Escher Queen special character kind of thing here. Now this is really interesting. We've got 2 miniatures in this pack from Forge World here. This is the first time ever in any system, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that we've seen a Caryatid. So Caryatids are excellent little hangers-on that you can get in Necromunda if you're very, very lucky and you've got the highest rep. You can't buy them, they just join your gang if you are particularly high in rep, etc. But the Caryatid itself is worth buying this, I think. But we've also got this really interesting looking Escher Queen here, who is a special character in the Cinderac Burning book. She's got a chain axe and a plasma pistol, which are pretty much my favourite weapon combination for an Escher Queen, to be honest. Whenever I build an Escher list, I give them a chain axe and a plasma pistol. I just really like that combination of weapons. And I like the fact that she's got what looks like carapace armour here as well, with a big piece around the neck there and a cloak. Really, really nice aesthetic. The only thing I don't like about this miniature, to be honest, is, well, there's 2 things I don't like about it. The first thing is the stance on the rock there. The sort of strategic rock is always annoying from Games Workshop. But it's okay in this instance. I don't mind it too much. But the hair for me is just really, really, really over the top. And I feel like actually if you just took that hair piece off, if you just cover it with your finger quickly, you can kind of see that she'd actually look better bald, I think. A bit more of a Grace Jones vibe. Being bald, it'd be kind of cool. I don't know. We'll see. I don't mean Grace Jones, I mean Sinead O'Connor. What the hell? Completely different. Although, if you gave her a flat top like Grace Jones, that would look awesome too. In fact, that would look even better. So, really, really nice pack here. I'd like to buy this. However, I do feel like, because it's coming from Forge World, I guarantee you that I'll pick this up, I'll get it out of the box, I'll try and assemble it, and it's going to be really, really fiddly and hard to put together because it's quite slight and small and all the pieces are quite detailed and fiddly. Moving on to the next Dramatis Personae, this one is the Goliath equivalent. So this is the guy actually on the front cover of the Cinderac Burning book, I believe. I can't remember what his name is, something two-hammer guy. But this guy, we'll call him MC Hammer actually. This guy's got two hammers and a green beard, which is atrocious. I know it's on the front cover of the artwork, but nobody should have a green beard. If you have a green beard, I won't talk to you. So please don't dye your beard green. But yeah, this guy's kind of cool. He looks great at first glance, don't get me wrong, but I think when you look at it a bit closer, there are some details that kind of stand out that really annoy me. I love the two hammer. I like most things about it, but I feel like he's got too many muscles. Now I don't know a huge amount about anatomy, to be honest, but I feel like, and I'm not a particularly muscly person either, but I feel like looking at his chest and looking at his arms and everything, he's got too many muscles. Correct me if I'm wrong, but human beings don't have that many muscles, right? I mean, we have lots of muscles and they're not the typical ones here. So if I got this, I'd be tempted to actually green stuff the torso to make it maybe armoured and maybe hide some of that bare chest. I'm just not really a huge fan of it. So I don't know. But I like the pose, I like the hammers, I like everything else about it. I mean, Goliath miniatures do look pretty cool. This guy looks pretty cool as well. Without the green beard, he'd look even better. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Let me know what you think here. Moving on to the next few hangers-on and stuff here, we're going to be looking at the Escher Shiver and the Escher Clan Chemist. It's been a while. We kind of wanted these a long time ago. They're finally going to be released. However, I do think the miniatures are a bit lackluster and a bit of a letdown, to be honest, for such, the Clan Chemist here looks like a very rushed sort of concept idea. Just pouring poison on a blade is kind of a bit of a cheap shot, if you ask me. It could have been better than that, but I do still quite like it. Again, I think it would be painted. It could be painted in a more grimy and grimdark style, and it will look better. But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really float my boat. But at least we have a miniature for it now. Okay. The Shiver, on the other hand, looks really busy, really cluttered. Doesn't look at all how I imagine the Shiver to look, and doesn't look much like the artwork in the book either. I don't believe, if there is artwork in the book, from what I remember anyway. She looks a bit too busy and a bit cluttered and not sort of freaky and scary enough to be a Shiver. So I'm not really a huge fan of that one. But again, it could just be the paint job. There's a lot going on there with the paint job. We've got animal furs, we've got bright yellows and blues. I'm not a fan of any of these paint jobs, I'll be honest. I'm sure they can paint better than me, but it's not my style. So that's the Escher hangers on there. Moving on now to the Hive Traders. We've got the Gun Trader there. We've also got the Beast Wrangler or whatever it's called in the middle, and we've also got the I can't remember what his name is, the Relic Trader or something like that on the left there. But these are really cool miniatures. I've liked all of the Forge World releases for Dramatis Personae and hangers on so far on the whole, and when you get hold of them, they're really, really nice sculpts and usually much nicer in person, I think. But these are quite cool. I like the Beast Wrangler in the middle. He's got what looks like a Durinx cat by his right leg there, which is pretty cool. It's the first time we've seen one in Necromunda. I think there is one in 40k maybe, but this is the first time we've seen one in Necromunda. It's a shame that it is joined to the body though, so you can't just prise it off that miniature and use it as a pet in your games. We've also got the chick with the heavy bolter and the stub gun there. She looks really cool actually. She reminds me of the Rogue Doc that we had a couple of years back in her sort of general attire and garb. Yeah, the hair's a bit silly, but I think painted well, this could be quite cool as well. You could almost make her look a bit like a sort of geisha, I suppose. I don't know, she gives off slightly Japanese vibes there, I think. And on the left there, we've got really, really cool one-legged with a sort of servitor cherub over the shoulder there, holding a chest. Very, very cool, that guy. I love him, absolutely love him. Moving on to the next two, we've got what looks like the Chem Dealer, I think, on the right there, and is it the Brute Handler on the left there? I should really know this, but I've just got the pictures without any words here. The Chem Dealer looks awesome. He looks like some of the concept art or some of the sort of Some of the outfits that are at the very opening scene of the new Dune movie, with the spice mining stuff getting blown up when they're talking about... Anyway, I'm rambling here a little bit, but very nice miniature nonetheless, with his little gas mask and his little tank on his back and everything. Really, really cool. I like that one indeed. And then on the left there, you've got something that actually looks like it could fit in with your Mercator Sanguis, you know, pit fighters and slave delegation. He looks like he would fit in really well with them. You can tell the sculptor is definitely on the same vibe there, with a shock whip for an arm. Very cool indeed. But the main thing, and the thing that I'm most excited about here, is what we're going to be looking at now, is of course the Mercator Pallidus Corpse Harvesting Party. Now these guys, to me, are some of the best miniatures I've seen released for Necromunda to date, if not the best. Now I know that's a bold statement, but I mean, check these guys out, for real. I mean, this pack is just brimming with awesomeness. I'm going to start with... where do I begin with these guys? So we've got a party of 4 guys. These are the Corpse Harvesting Party from the Mercator Pallidus Corpse Guild. They're not particularly good in the game, don't get me wrong. You can use them as an alliance, or if you're more inclined to do so, you could use them as a delegation-led outcast gang, which I'm probably going to do just because of how cool they look. They're not that good in the game, but they look cool. So rule of cool is definitely the main thing here, but starting off with the central figure in the white outfit there, that is the Pale Consort. Now the Pale Consort is the leader of this particular party, and she looks incredible. I mean, what is not to like about that? That is grimdark in its absolute finest. Again, like I said, not particularly good in the game, but I mean, look at that model. I mean, you could use it as anything. It's fantastic. You could use it as a, you know, as a rebel lord perhaps, or something else if you wanted to as well. But I mean, just a fantastic miniature there. I cannot wait to see this from all angles and actually get my hands on the miniature itself. It looks like it's easy to put together, which is rare from Forge World. I just absolutely love it. I'm very, very happy to fork out lots of money to buy these. So, I mean, yeah, I'm speechless at how good this is, to be honest. Again, not sure about the paint job. I'd still like the pale colours, but I think it should look a bit more grimy personally. Looking at the top left here, and this is probably my favourite one of the bunch, we've got this, what looks like a squat in a sort of like plague mask, a sort of, with a giant cult icon, with some bones hanging from it and stuff, and a little walking stick. I mean, this guy just looks absolutely incredible. It might be... I mean, it's hard to say because I haven't got my hands on an actual physical version of this, but it might be my favourite Necromunda miniature to date. I mean, I'm honestly speechless. I don't know what to say. It's that good. I just cannot wait to get hold of him and paint him. Is he a squat? Is he a ratling? Is he just a small human? Who knows? But he's got this amazing mask and his amazing hat there. He looks kind of almost Russian. Really, 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 really cool. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. So yeah, basically all of my downers about all the Escher bikes and stuff like that have been completely corrected by all this awesomeness with this corpse harvesting party. Anyway, the next 2 members you've got are two corpse grinders. Then now, not to be confused with corpse grinder cults, these are just corpse grinders, so they're not quite as evil as the corpse grinder cults, but you can see the aesthetic is the same. They've got the same sort of armor plates and knee pads. They've got, boning swords and chain glaives with really cool, really cool sort of gas masks on as well. And again, these guys just ooze character. They look fantastic. What's not to like about these guys? I saw someone complaining about how the chain glaives look like they're really, impractical in real life, but who cares? This isn't real life. This is Necromunda, so don't take it too seriously. I love the guy on the top right there with a meat hook carrying a severed torso of a guy. That's really grimy and horrible. But to top this whole thing off, you've then got two servitors. You've got what looks like a gun servitor through the middle top there. It is, isn't it? It's got the compact auto pistol, I believe, in its mouth. Fantastic. And then the other one, which is doing something, is harvesting some corpsey stuff from a corpse, which is just really, really grim, really, really horrible. But you know, anything that comes with gun servitors or any sort of servitors in 40k just makes it instantly cool to me. So fantastic job. Whoever sculpted these is an absolute genius, and props to you, absolute hats off to you for these. I am a huge fan, and I'm definitely going to be buying these. Anyway, that's enough from me, I think. I am off to town to go and explore and try and open a bank account and do all the chores that I need to do, moving to a new city, a new country and all that. So that's enough from me for now. Please do like, share, subscribe, and check out my Patreon as well. Again, thank you so much for all the support so far in the last couple of weeks, you know, with moving overseas and stuff. It's been really nice that you've all been so understanding and patient with me. So I will get back up to, you know, the sort of regular releasing of videos at some point, and of course once I've got all my stuff from overseas, I'll be able to set up on the same sort of tip as I was before and be able to produce better quality videos going forward. But be patient, I'm nearly there. But that's enough from me anyway, so I'll catch you in the next video. I'm not sure what that's going to be. That's going to be my 100th video, I believe, something like that anyway, which is incredible. So pat on the back for myself there. But anyway, take care and peace out.